So we move on to the next part of our journey. So we did physical health, we went into emotional health. Now we're going to get into social health, which is to do with relationships. And we have an absolute expert in the room with us, who you saw earlier but did not hear as yet. So everybody probably has at some point seen, if not the entire episode, at least a WhatsApp clip or a YouTube clip of Awakening with the Brahma Kumaris, I'm sure. So our next speaker is the famous Sister Shivani. Now all of you know her through TV. But like I mentioned before, she's also, in her own right, she's a great student, not just a teacher. She is a gold medalist during her engineering. She's got her undergraduate degree in engineering and electronics and communication from the University of Pune. So may I request Sister Shivani to come up and share some words of wisdom on social wellness.
Om Shanti. Good afternoon. Coming back in such large numbers after lunch and on time, which means we've shifted from technology to transformation already. Let's close our eyes for a minute. Just everybody sit back. Let us look at our relationships. It could be at home, it could be at work, friends, family, colleagues. छोटी छोटी बातें, कौन सी छोटी छोटी बातें हैं? Look at your relationships. Don't look at it worldwide. Just look at your own relationships. What are the little things which are creating misunderstanding, conflict? The harmony is not there the way we want it to be. The undercurrents. What are the little things? Om Shanti. Anyone would like to share? What is the cause of misunderstanding or conflict in our relationships with people? Anyone? Just shout it out. Ego. And what does ego say? Don't give me the definition which I shared on TV. You tell me what you feel. What does ego say? I. What about the I? I am right. And if I am right, we automatically feel that the other person is wrong. Okay, that's one major reason. Anything else? Expectations from others and the expectations that others have from us too. Anything else? G? Being judgmental. Okay, for 15 minutes now this is enough. Just enough. How often during the day, when we are interacting with people, when people are not the way we want them to be, or people don't do things the way we want them to do, and the whole area of control and conflict becomes, we try to change them to be the way we want them to be. Does that happen? Yes? We want people to be the way we want them to be. Does that happen? Yes? You don't want people to be the way you want them to be? Let's say you have a particular definition of sincerity. You would want everyone to be sincere like that. Let's take a simple thing right now. Punctuality. 2:20 is the time to start the program. Okay? For someone, the definition of punctuality would be 2:15. For someone, the definition of punctuality would be 2:15. If it's a 2:20 program, I should reach 5-10 minutes before. Right? Is that person right? Yes? For another person, the definition of punctuality would be 2:20 means 2:20. Is that person right? For some people, the definition of punctuality would be 2:20. इंडिया में कौन सा प्रोग्राम 2:20 पे शुरू होता है? So they would come by 2:30, 2:35. Are they right? This is where we start getting judgmental. Okay, if I come at 2:30, 2:20, then I find the person coming at 2:30 wrong. How can they come late? I even find the person coming at 2:10 wrong. How can they come 10 minutes before and sit? So who is right? Only the person who comes exactly at 2:20. Says who? Says I. Why? Because I come at 2:20. Sanskars. Spirituality gives us the first answer. Who am I? Soul on the journey. Who is the other person? Soul on a journey. And on this journey of not just 20, 30 years of this lifetime, but another costume, and another costume, and another costume, a journey of couple of thousands of years, each soul, different parents, different cultures, different situations, different experiences, different sanskars, different way of thinking. The sanskar is like a filter. It's like a lens. Each of us will perceive the same situation through a different lens. And as I perceive it, I will find that is right because I can see it only through that lens. Someone wearing a convex lens, someone wearing a concave lens, seeing the same object are going to see it differently. But they're different because they're wearing different lenses. Now two souls, been on a journey for 2,000-3,000 years, different sanskars, and now they get married. What will happen? Different sanskars of 2,000-3,000 years suddenly get married. And they want the other person to be the way they want them to be. Will it happen? Is it possible? And then after a couple of years, they have a child who is another soul who's born on another journey of 2,000-3,000 years. And both these parents say, my child should be the way I want them to be, forgetting that it is not my child, but another soul on the journey. Just this simple understanding that each one is a soul carrying so many different sanskars, and different sanskars means different perception, different way of thinking, and to each one, their way of thinking will feel absolutely right. I was with someone last week and there was a little argument between the couple. The husband said, yesterday my treadmill was at this corner in the drawing room. I wanted it to shift to another room. So he tells his wife, shift this treadmill to the other end of the room. The wife forgot. She woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and she suddenly remembered my husband wanted this treadmill there. Alone she shifted that treadmill to the other end of the room. While she was doing it, what did she visualize? How is her husband going to be the next morning? What would she visualize? What would she visualize? Where are all the wives? What would you visualize if you do that at 2 o'clock in the morning for your husband? He'll be happy, obviously. The husband wakes up the next morning and he says, in the night the machine was here, morning it's gone there, alone she's done it, he shouted at her. समझ में नहीं आता, अकेले उठा के इतना बड़ा इधर शिफ्ट कर दिया, कुछ हो जाता तो. She did it because she loved him. She cared for him. He shouted at her because he loved her, he cared for her. And because they both loved each other, they were fighting. And then when two of us went into their house at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, they say, sister, beto, beto, beto. Now you decide who between us is right. And then they were not talking only about that issue. They said, last week also this happened, 15 days back also that happened, last year that happened. पंडित ने बोला ही था शादी के टाइम, हमारे उतने गुण मैच ही नहीं करते. Now you raise your hands. How many of you feel the wife was right? Acha, and how many of you feel the husband was right? And how many of you feel that both were right? Who was more right? Thoda zyada. Who was right? Both were right, na? Both were right. Seeing the situation from a different perspective, the only little mistake that they were making was they understood they were right, but they felt the other person was wrong. Had we only changed that to, I am right from my perspective, and you are also right from your perspective, the energy in the relationship would have changed. Every time we create this thought, I am right, you are wrong, what's the energy we're radiating? If I create this energy for you, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong, what's the energy? This is disrespect. This is rejection. And when I create this energy for you, you are wrong, the energy that I'm going to get from there is going to be, you are wrong. And knowing very well that respect has to be the foundation of every relationship, every difference of opinion, we create disrespect only because we say, I am right, you are wrong. Let's drop this word here today. I am right and you are also right. Now come, let's sit and talk. Because when I say, I am right, you are wrong, now come, let's sit and talk, there's nothing to talk. Because the decision is already taken. And most important, difference of opinion will be there on almost every situation. But every difference of opinion hits at the foundation of the relationship where there's supposed to be respect. Relationship means respect, trust and love. And respect, trust and love means I accept you as you are. Nowadays, very easily we say to each other, I love you. The other person says, I love you. Parent says to the child every day, I love you, beta. Beta says, I love you, mom. I love you, dad. We say it very easily. Every message is signed off saying, love you. You know? Now we'll change that. And if it really means I love you, then let's say to each other every time, I accept you. I accept you. With your sanskars, with your way of thinking, with your perspective which is different from mine, I accept you as you are. Then the love will naturally flow in that relationship. Rejection and disrespect is taking us away from each other. And very easily we are saying, I don't understand him, he says I don't understand her, so we can't live with each other. And then we say, IT profession has the highest divorce rate. It's nothing to do with the profession. Bangalore has highest divorce rate. It's nothing to do with the profession. It's just that in the whole day, the kind of energy that we're creating at work, stress, anxiety, irritation, by the time we reach home in the evening, the soul battery is depleted. And then we're looking for the other person to give me love, to give me respect. So we stand like this, give, give. And how is the other person standing? Now if both of us will stand like this, and then two of us will go to our little children and say, and the children will say, we came into the family because we thought. So everyone thinks that I'm going to be getting from the other person. I will get love, I will get respect, they will understand me, they will talk sweetly to me. Spirituality, Raj Yoga teaches us, give. Shift from to giving. Whatever we want, let us give. While we give, the first person that it will flow through, it will be me. So it is relationship does not mean, because normally we say relationship means give and take. Right? Give and take. Raj Yoga teaches us relationship means give, aage, give and give and give and give. Kab tak? Kab tak? Dena, 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 dena. And while giving, the first person who will get it will be me. So it is create, experience and give. So we will be the first person to get it. When we get angry with someone, who is the first person to get it? The one who creates the anger or one who receives the anger? Zyada nuksan kiska hota hai? And we've all experienced, if we are on the other side, then after some time we don't even get affected by what they're creating. They can shout at us and after 10 minutes we'll go to the coffee machine and have a good time and laugh about them. So the only person who gets the energy is the one who is going to create it. So if I want love, if I want respect, then let's shift from standing like this and shift to go home today, not with the feeling you should understand me, but with the thought I will understand you. You should talk nicely to me. I will talk nicely to you. I will give you respect. I will give you love. And the first person that will get it will be me. And then automatically it will radiate to my family. And the soul part tree will start increasing. That's what we want to do. And the more the soul power starts increasing, the better our relationships will be. If every day we connect to the Supreme Power for 10 minutes in the morning, battery, powerhouse, meditation means just connecting to Him, taking from Him, and then giving to family and friends the whole day. Then again taking from Him, giving it to everybody. But if we stand like this, those batteries are also a little discharged. If we connect ourselves to a discharged battery, what will be the result? What is the result of connecting to a discharged battery? Then there is conflict. So let's shift today from I love you to, say it, I accept you. Easy? 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 Practice karenge. Ho jayega. And we will not radiate this energy to anybody from today. You are wrong. You are different. Different from me, but right from your perspective. I respect you. Now let's come and talk about it. Yes? Then we take it further in the question answers and in the meditation. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
A great introduction to the emotional and social wellness space. We're going to hear more from Sister Shivani, as she mentioned. She's going to be here for the panel discussion. So for the panel discussion, I'm going to invite onto the stage some wonderful people, one of which is the chief of Infosys in Hyderabad, Mr. Narasimha. He is affectionately referred to as Nari. And also moderating this panel will be a person who's helped us from the beginning to create this Spirit Summit. He is the secretary of the HISIA, Hyderabad Software Enterprise Association, Flight Lieutenant Vipin Pendiala. And also accompanying those two wonderful people will be Sister Shivani that we just heard on stage. So may I request all three of them to come and take their place.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I think it's a post-lunch session is always a little bit of a tough session because physiologically when you eat, a lot of the bloodstream goes to your stomach to digest the food. But I hope Sister Shivani actually woke up most of you from an intellectual perspective with a talk. So what we'll try and do in the next 20 minutes is expand on what Sister Shivani started off, as well as segue from what we did in the morning, first session, second session. So I'll just set the context with a couple of examples. 2 years back, I was visiting the US and I went to New York. We had a couple of meetings with our corporate. And a colleague of mine, Dave, and myself, we both flew to Charlotte, North Carolina for another 2 days of meetings. We came back to JFK, and then Dave's wife came to the airport to pick us up. And in the back, Dave's daughter, who's about 6th grader, and her friend were sitting in the back of the car. And his wife said, hey, Bipin, the kids had to be taken for a basketball match at school, so while coming back, I picked them up. I said, oh, perfectly fine, I'm glad I'm getting to see her as well. And the three of us elders were talking, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's extremely quiet. I said, I have a 6th grader son at home, and there's no way in hell he's going to ever be so quiet. So I looked back and realized that both these young girls, 6th graders, both had a mobile phone, and they were chatting away, right? Texting essentially. So I just asked Louise, I said, Louis, you're chatting with some of your friends, you have a friend next door, why are you not talking to her? And she looks up at me and says, no, uncle, but I'm actually chatting to her. I said, you're like 1 feet apart. Why are you chatting with each other? Her response is, you know what, this is easy, number one. 2, this gives us the privacy. I said, wow. A 12-year-old 6th grader says she needs privacy to chat with a friend, right? The other anecdote I want to share with you is, sometime back, my sister came back from the US and she bought a new phone for my dad. And he was trying to figure out some apps. My son, who's a teenager, just looks up to me and says, Tata, which is like grandfather, says, Tata, can I have a look? Can I help you? And in like, a flat 30 seconds or so, he figured it out, gave it back to my dad. Now the same kid, when my father's friends come home, or when my friends come home, we have to constantly remind him, hey, when these people come home, remember to say hello, remember to smile at them, remember to offer a glass of water when they come home. The context I'm explaining this to is because while we look at these children and say the new age children are becoming more digitally savvy and less socially savvy, the reality is that even us, while we may feel superior to their generation, the reality is that we struggle in our own way in a humongous fashion in terms of our own relationships. When you talk about social health, and it's essentially we're saying about how do I as a person relate with the society around me? How do I relate with my family, with my co-workers at workplace, with the society at large, with the country that I'm part of, with the humanity which I'm part of? And many a time, my ability to understand what is happening around me, my ability to understand what is happening within me, and then be able to translate these two worlds, within and without, is what makes me a human being who can manage to have a good social health. But the reality is that a lot of us struggle. We all have stress at work, we have stress at home, we have stress with neighbors and whatnot. And many a time, having trust, respect, is what Shivani was talking earlier, are probably the accountability, empathy, compassion, are what can create a good social health. Contrary, misgiving, mistrust, unhappiness, gap of expectations is what can create a lot of stress, which in turn makes it very difficult to handle social health. So what we'll do in the next half hour is try and delve deeper into these topics. And while I have a set of questions for Nari and Sister Shivani, all of you are welcome to send your questions across by an SMS to a number, and I'll be extremely happy to sift through them as long as the time permits us. So let me start with Nari. Nari, today we are living in a world which is a global village in a cliched fashion, and there's a lot of ubiquitous 24/7 communication. Your client, your manager, your employee, your spouse, right from a 3-year-old to the 30-year-old child, expect you to be constantly available from a communication point of view. And therefore, in this current world, where everybody's expectations of you as individual are so high, and I'm saying when I say you, I'm not talking you alone, but I'm just saying with every one of us, how do you manage to keep a healthy social life? How do you manage to ensure that your social health is not impacted badly?
Thank you, Bipin. It's great to be here today, and it's a fantastic auditorium, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. See, I think how each one of us manages our social circle, I think is obviously different. But to my mind, I think the first thing which is important aspect of how to have a good social health is to actually recognize the need to have one. I think we have to recognize that end of the day, human beings are social creatures. We need to have those social interactions. After having said that, like Bipin said, there are often conflicting and many such relationships we have to sustain, like customers, which is related to business, family at home, friends out there, and the society at large. So the multiple stakeholders with whom we have to maintain these relationships. The key will be to identify the key relationships for each one of us. Obviously, family comes very important for most of us. But then we have to recognize all these different relationships we need to maintain and prioritize them, if not daily, on a weekly or a monthly basis. It probably happens subconsciously, but when I say prioritization, the key is to make sure that each one of them comes on top sometime or the other. Very often the mistake we make is we end up giving one of these relationships a much higher priority than the rest. For some of us, we end up giving work and work-related relationships much higher priority, and in the end, the other relationships suffer. For some people, they give a higher priority for family, and consequently, they may be suffering on the relationship they build in the society. Or some people may be focused too much on society and compromising on the relationships of family. But to me, the key is to be able to balance all of these different relationships and to make sure that each one of those comes up on top sometime or the other on a frequent basis. That's the key. The key is to recognize that all of them are important. The key is to invest time on each one of them. The key is to prioritize from time to time. That's how I would say it.
Thank you, Nari. Thanks for the response. Sis Shivani, I would like to ask you, or rather have you develop on, what is in your mind termed as social health, number one. Number two is, how important are interpersonal relationships in being healthy from a social perspective?
If I have to check my social health, like how we can check our physical health, and just before lunch we saw how to check our emotional health, then the way to check my social health would be how I get along with people. And people could be at home, at work, it could be a stranger on the road. What's the energy that flows through me to people? And how do I manage and respond to energies that come from people to me? Like brother said about prioritizing our relationships, and sometimes we keep work above and family below that. But to take care of all those relationships, the first person I would have to have a relationship with is with myself. If I am not in a good mood today, if I am creating a lot of stress here today, if I am being self-critical, if I am feeling guilty about something that has happened, so if here my inner conversation is not of a very good quality, then automatically every soul I meet, the vibration that will radiate from me to them cannot be of a very nice quality. And automatically a slight stimulus from the other side will not get a very favorable response from my end. We can all check that in our own lives. The day I am in a good mood, and then if people say something to us, we are able to ignore it and we say, "Achha, koi baat nahi bol diya." Like in the day we are not in a very good mood, a slightest stimulus from somewhere else we'll get a reaction and a provocation from our side. So unless we start taking out that time to take care of me being calm, peaceful, contented, having a loving conversation with myself, accepting myself, I will not be able to do it with other people. Unless I create the right energy here, I will not be able to radiate to people. The thoughts we create is our energy field. It's like the perfume we wear. Each one of you must have used a perfume this morning. The perfume you use, whether other people like it or no, they will get the fragrance of it wherever you go. So similarly, what we think and feel becomes our energy field, and everywhere we go, people will be touched by it. So if we want to have good relationships with other people, first is the quality of my inner conversation. How important it is to have social relationships, like you just shared about having a relationship with technology. Today, most of us prefer to have friends on Facebook, strangers, rather than having a conversation with a friend next door or sitting in the next cabin. We can chat with people on Facebook, that's okay, but we will not have an exchange of energy. There will be no exchange of vibration. And because that doesn't happen, it doesn't allow me, the soul, to create energy, radiate to the other person, receive energy from the other person. I do not get to do that. And because I don't get to do that, my energy here is stagnant. It's not flowing through me. And that's why the more we are with technology and less with people, the more our aptitude to be able to adjust, to tolerate, to get along with people is reducing day by day. If we have to say sorry to someone for what we have done, we rather put it on WhatsApp. Don't we do that? Today we don't even call people to wish them on their birthday. It's on WhatsApp or Facebook. So everything is just becoming words. The feeling and the vibration is missing. And the first person who will get affected by that will be me. Because energy does not flow from me. Energy does not flow towards me. So we're becoming emotionally weak then.
Thank you. I just want to have...
If we are clapping, then that means we are choosing that from today, rather than using, we will make it a point to go and meet people and talk to people.
I'd like to follow up with another question, Shivani, but before I ask the question, I want to set the context right. Many years back, when my first son was born, my wife took time off from her job and we were at home. Right? Late nights, of course, multiple times when the boy was a toddler, if he cries because he needs change of nappy or because he needs to fed, even when I woke up, I would quickly say, hey, Nalini, I'm taking care of, and then I'll again go back to sleep, right? It was never a challenge. Fast forward now, my son is in the high school, and if he has a math exam specifically, my wife says, look, when I decided to become a doctor, I gave up math at 10th grade. So now when he has a math exam, it's your responsibility to come home and help him. Don't expect me to help him in the math. So she gets a little more annoyed now, right? And I'm sure each one of us sitting out here have similar incidences. It's not only about what we think and how we think about ourselves, it's also the people we're dealing with at home, at work. They behave, they react, they respond differently for different situations. So how does one equip himself or herself to be able to come to a level of maturity from internally, as well as be able to perceive the situation in which the other person is, and hence tailor your response or tailor yourself to accept and manage the situation?
He said people have unpredictable behaviors. Like we just saw with the treadmill, no? We predict something else, but the behavior that we'll get next morning was something completely different. We do not need to tailor-make our responses according to people's behavior, because if you prepare yourself for a particular behavior, What you might get tomorrow will be another behavior. And you cannot keep on programming yourself, okay, if she says this, I will do this. But then if she says this, I will do this. It's all very complicated. We can't live like that. Raj Yoga teaches us that other people or situations or other people's behavior are not the cause of how we think, feel and respond. Before coming to the Brahma Kumaris, a very deep belief system that I and many of you might have is that other people are responsible for how we think and feel. How many of us have said sometime or the other in life, you hurt me? Have you ever said that to anybody or felt about anybody? Raise your hand. Has anyone ever hurt you? See? You hurt me is what we thought. That the other person did something, said something, and they hurt me. And Raj Yoga taught us they did what they had to do, they said what they had to say, what they felt was right. The hurt created was completely my choice, and I have a choice to create another response. Taking personal responsibility of how we think, feel and respond. So let's not focus so much on what they are doing and being. Let's focus on how I am going to respond, and my response has to come from my original quality of love, peace and purity. It's like actors on the stage. Let's say if we're 3 actors on the stage, each one has to remember only their own script, no? What is my script, my dialogue, and what I have to do. But normally on the stage of life, I'm normally thinking what he should be saying, how he should be behaving. Don't we do that? So we are normally rehearsing other people's scripts in our mind. Even if you're going for a meeting today, while driving your car, you will rehearse other people's script. Then they will say like this, then they will do this, then I will do this. And people do not behave according to our script. They don't.
Sure.
So let's take care of only our script. We're so busy taking care of other people's script that in the meantime wrong dialogues slip out of. And we say, bolna nahi chahte the, muh se apne aap nikal gaya, because we were thinking about your script and what you should be saying. So let's take personal responsibility. I am the creator of my response. Even if she's a little annoyed and irritated, I still have the choice to be absolutely calm and peaceful and very loving and accepting.
Thank you. Nari, I would like to segue from that point, like what Shivani was talking about. It's largely about you, right? And at the same time, I have a bunch of questions that come from delegates talking about, challenges that people have with spouse at home, challenges that people have because both of them are working and there's a travel, I want to travel, whatnot. So in this complex world that we live in today, and when we talk about social context, how important is self-esteem from your perspective to actually have a good social health?
In a social context, the way I have experienced, the biggest difficulty we seem to have is with insecurities each one of us have. And the insecurities each one of us have leads to mistrust. And it is in some ways related to what Sister Shivani talked about. A lot of times we are prejudging the other person's intent or actions even before the first word has been spoken, right? And to that extent, to begin with, if you are happy with yourself, again, the relationship with self, the self-esteem we talk about, that's the starting point. If you start off with your own insecurities, then it's very unlikely that you're going to trust the person on the other side and build any credible relationship. So self-esteem to that extent is extremely important. And self-esteem comes from a fair bit of self-awareness. I think all of us have to realize that there is nobody out there who is perfect. There is nobody out there who's achieved everything he or she wants to achieve. But then almost everybody out there has few things for which they should be proud about and be happy about and feel good about. So knowing what is it you've done in life, what is it you're good at, and being comfortable with yourself is extremely important. Right? So that's the self-esteem part. Being aware of what it is extremely important, and that helps you to at least start off on an even keel with the other person in relationship. To me, as important as self-esteem, I see an equally bigger need for us to be also humble and accept the other person. The other big problem I see today is we tend to judge the other people very quickly, and almost nobody is good enough for us. To me, that is the other bigger problem I see. One is you don't think you are good enough. Second is a lot of times you think the other person also is not good enough. Again, just as I talked about, not any of us is perfect. All of us have something we haven't done. So is it true for everybody. Everybody has had their set of fallacies, set of things they haven't done well, things they should be, they should feel sorry about. But then each one of them has also done few things right. So the day we can focus on the glass which is 70% full, 80% full for ourselves and for the other person is when I think you can be happy about it. Very often we tend to focus on what has not been done by us and what has not been done by the other person. And that really kills it. That creates mistrust, and that creates a huge stress in the mind. And starting off with this negative energies and mistrust is no way to build a relationship. And lastly, I think again, Sister Shivani talked about the fact that you have to be self-aware, and in any context, it's your choice how you react to a particular thing. And people have to feel the positive energy from you. So a lot of times when I speak in my teams today in the organization or any small or large groups, I make it a point to let them know that it's extremely important for all of us to be happy. I think far too many of us are unhappy about that glass which is 20% empty, unhappy about the 2-3 things we haven't achieved, unhappy about that new flat you have not bought, or the latest car you have not bought, or the promotion you have not got, or the compensation hike we have not got. So a lot of unhappiness around each of these, and we forget that in a lot of ways every one of us here actually is the privileged lot in the society. Every one of us here, I believe. We have achieved so much, we have got so much back from society. Of course, we need more. There's no end to that. We need more. But then to recognize that we have achieved a lot is the first thing. So being happy is probably the best way to build any social relationships, and that's the first step for social health is my mind.
Wonderful, Nari. Thank you very much. One quick show of hands, assuming that at least 70 to 75% of the people sitting here are all from IT industry, how many of you feel you're under stress? About half, right? But today, how many of you are comfortable to tell your manager at work that you're actually not under stress? That's about less than 5%. Okay? That's the reality of life we live in today in the IT industry. Everybody feels that if you say that you're not under stress, then it is deemed that you're not doing well in the company.
If you allow me, Vipin, I'll intervene here on this part of stress. See, my belief is stress by itself is not bad. I think stress is good because that helps people deliver superior outcomes in my mind. But the question is it healthy stress or unhealthy stress? I think we have to differentiate between both. I think a little bit of tightness of nerves helps you deliver better. I think a lot of people deliver better on the bigger stage. I think it's what we should aspire for. But if it's unhealthy, a lot of times stress is bad if it is because we have bad co-workers we work with, if we have managers who don't trust us, managers whom we don't trust, if we have customers who we think are unreasonable, if we have colleagues whom we don't trust and we don't want to be working with them. To me, that is the reason of stress, or that is the reason of unhappiness.
True.
Stress by itself, to my mind, is not a problem really.
Sure. So I'll kind of slightly differ from what Nari is saying, because Nari spoke in the context of work and I completely agree with him. But what I'm also going to ask Nari to talk in a couple of minutes is stress from personal perspective. Just this morning and earlier I was talking that we currently live in a society, at least for the last 2 decades I would say, where majority of the Indians, and particularly South Indians I would say, not so much across the country, are extremely enamored by the 2 alphabets in English language, I and T. Right? The kids have to go to the IITs, then the kids have to go to the IIM, and then the kid has to work in IT industry. Right? That's the first, that's the pinnacle as far as the parents' point of view, society's point of view is. If not the 3, can the kid at least do 2 of the INTs? It's okay. Worst case, can the kid at least do 1 of them? If not, there's a tremendous pressure. Over the last 15, 16 to 18 years, I would say, if I had to go back and look at some of the funny incidents or funny transactions I've heard, many years back in 2002, when I was running Port Player, an employee's father came and met me and said, "Sir, can you help my son go to the US for a few months?" I said, "What is it?" "No, we are looking for alliances for my son. It would be very beneficial if he's in the US," when I'm talking about alliances. A few years down the line, another gentleman came and spoke to me about his son. He said, "My son is actually quite happy doing what he is doing. He seemed to be very pleased, but my neighbor's son is doing phenomenally better. So how can the organization help my son to do better than what he is doing currently?" So largely what happens is we're living in a society at a time in this world where the expectation of what we should be versus where we are versus where we want to be, there's a very large delta. And this delta between the expectation of what we should be and where we are is what I personally think is a large cause for stress for most of us and a personal friend. So Nari, what are your thoughts on that in terms of the expectation mismatch that leads to a lot of stress for people?
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. I think a lot of times we measure ourselves against our own aspirations, which is a good thing. A lot of times we measure ourselves against the aspirations of our family members. When you're a student, you're measuring yourself against what your father and mother wants you to be, how good you have to be in class, how good you have to be in school, all of that. Right? When you come to work, you are measuring yourself against the expectations of your peers around you, your friends around you. Right? All of these are expectations coming from outside. And I think in some sense, that's a game you can never win. That's a game where you're always going to find that you're going to fall short of those expectations. And it is like a treadmill which will get faster every day, because if you achieve A, people will start expecting B from you. If you achieve B, you'll have to achieve C. That's how it's going to be. There is really no way of getting out, right? The key all of us have to realize is, yes, it's good to do well in life. It's good to have a lot of money, good to be successful in organizations. But I think the self-awareness again becomes very important, that it is not possible for everybody to really aspire to have all of those things. Some of us are very happy maybe singing, some of us are very happy dancing, some of us are very happy working with children in school, some of us are very happy helping your children at home. So again, it goes back to understanding what is it you are happy with, and reconciling to that and making sure you take care of those is probably the key. And the sooner we get out of the expectations of pressure from peers and family members and others, colleagues at work, the happier and the sooner we'll get there we will be. That's my take.
Thanks, Nari. So a couple of questions from the delegates, Shivani. I'll try and merge them into a single question. One is, how does the whole social health paradigm, as it's shifting, and what's the impact of the migration of our society from joint family to nuclear families to, you spoke of the divorce rate a while ago, where we are now, in the high teens from Indian perspective, in the last 10 years from a single digit to high teens. So how is that sort of impacting on the whole social health aspect of it? The second is also, this gentleman or lady, I don't know, one of the delegates says that he or she has abstained from alcohol all through life, has abstained from negative thoughts, but still comes across sometimes situations where people are very adversarial, very conflicting, and then suddenly the whole negative thoughts flare up in the person's mind to the point saying that I would rather see this person go to Almighty, right? That's the extreme thought. So can you combine this and say in terms of how is the family structure, the changing family structures, the social pressures that we talked about a while ago, how are they all impacting the social health, and what is that and how does one relate it back to internal harmony or harmonization of the soul?
Like we saw earlier, the more people that we interact with, the more people that we would have in our family, the more opportunity for energy exchange, the healthier will be the soul. The most affected today are the children of today. Children born in nuclear families and with both parents working. We, most of us who are 30, 40 today, are the fortunate generation who had our mothers 24/7 available for us. Yes? And we are that fortunate generation who used to get food cooked by our mother 3 times a day. The children today are not getting these things. Food cooked at home by the mother used to have love, power and blessings in that food. Today we are eating packet food, microwave food, order pizza, or then since we are earning so much, so we have a cook at home who will cook for us. So we are getting all the proteins, the carbohydrates, but we are not getting the love, the emotional energy that we get through the food, which is largely responsible for the emotional strength of every member of the family. So the Indian social culture, how it used to be of being in a joint family, was actually very healthy for us. Just yesterday on the flight, I met someone who said, "Sister, in your program you say don't criticize children." So, but our parents also criticized us, and our grandparents also criticized us, or they criticized our parents, but how come we didn't get so affected how our children are getting affected today? And children, a little word from someone and they're thinking, contemplating of suicide. In the last week, 2 children in Delhi have committed suicide because they couldn't take what the teacher said to them. 10-year-old, 13-year-old. So while he was saying, and I was just thinking, yeah, what he's saying is right. Our parents did criticize or say negative statements. Their parents said to them, why are children getting affected so much today? Because when our parents criticized us, there were our grandparents to pamper us. If the mother said to me, "You're no good, you can't do it," I'll run to my dadi and my dadi will say, "Na na, aise bolti hai, you're very sweet." So immediately the wound will get healed. Or you will go to your chacha or to chachi or to your neighbor and you get healed. But the child of today, if the parent says you're no good, you just can't do it, after that 3 days he's alone with that statement, no one to heal that wound. No one to heal that wound. Mother is also coming home at 8 o'clock in the night. Father is also coming. What is the children getting today? So preferably, let's adjust a little bit and let's choose the option of being in a joint family as far as possible. It's very, very healthy for every member of the family. Very healthy. छोटी छोटी बातें होती हैं, बहुत छोटी छोटी बातें होती हैं. Always weigh the pros and the cons. छोटी छोटी चीज़ें of adjusting with in-laws, but the benefit of staying in that blessing and that power. I have seen mothers today who will not give their child to the grandmother, मतलब to their mother-in-law, but they say, I can hire a nanny. I have a very well-trained maid who will look after my child. The well-trained maid will do everything perfect, but she does it for money. She cannot have the vibration of love and blessings which a dadi will give to the child. There's no substitute in the world for what a grandparent can give to the child. So let's go back. Let's go back to our parents, stay with them, very healthy for them, healthy for us, and healthy for our children to get back to our old way of living.
Thank you, Sister Shivani. That's wonderful. In fact, I remember a couple of years back, I was speaking at a Women's Day celebrations, and one of the queries was, a lot of women said, right now we're working, we have staff, we have international calls in the evenings, we're all very stressed, how do we manage? I said, go live with your mom or your mother-in-law. Nothing, can beat that. And I've had the luxury all these years and can cherish what you say. A quick question, again, I'm trying to combine a few questions from the delegates. And one of the questions from the delegates is that the person is exceedingly doing well in the corporate over the last 5-6 years, but he feels his number of friends are diminished dramatically, while his success in the corporate is increasing. There's another gentleman who also said people are healthier today physically and hence working longer into their advanced age group. and they feel that they've empowered, in a sense, my sense of empowerment is providing by a financial perspective. So is there a right age for people to stop working? And then do what?
Each one will have to choose their definition of success. Our definition of success will have to be defined. If I'm doing very well in the corporate, but I don't get along with people when I'm back home and with friends, then can I really experience happiness? I don't know whether you said we are more physically healthy today than before.
Apparently, the medicine makes you feel that you are healthier because you can live on medicines from 40 to 70.
So you live on medicine. That's not, we heard in the morning today how physically healthy we are. Definitely our parents were much healthier than us and their parents were because of our lifestyle, our food and our exercise habits. But the best time to stop working, we get to meet a lot of people who stop working early, but that doesn't turn out to be very healthy for them. Unless you engage your mind into another activity, which could be a social activity, which could be an NGO, but just what is happening is we are running too fast and then we get tired. Earlier we would walk slowly till the age of 60. Today we run up to 40 and then we fall down. Just sometimes back, few days back, I met a person who's at a very senior position in McKinsey. And he said, again, your eyes, all the three eyes. He said, I topped in IIT, then I topped in IIM, and now I've reached where I wanted to reach in McKinsey. I said, good. And he's 40. He said, now what to do? Now what to do with life? I said, you've reached where you're happy. He said, no, I'm not happy. I've just reached where I have to reach. So now how am I going to be happy? And he sat for, he alone, he was a little low and he said, I feel very empty inside. I said, okay, go back to work, go back, be with the same people, but go back with a different purpose of life. Not just to earn money, but to earn blessings the whole day. Interact with people, do for people, cooperate with people, share and care with people, earn a lot of blessings. Because money could only give you what money could buy. Blessings will give you everything that money cannot buy. Money cannot buy a lot of things. Money has a very limited what all it can buy. Money cannot buy health, money cannot buy love and relationships, money cannot buy trust, respect, money cannot buy any of these. Money cannot buy my personal contentment. Money can only buy my phones and cars and bungalows. So to earn happiness, love, what we're talking, we need to be happy. We need to shift from one belief system of competing with each other. Let's shift to cooperating with each other. When we are competing with each other, we forget sharing, caring, cooperation, and then we can get the best of cars and bungalows, but we don't get happiness, love inside. We feel very empty. So let's be on the journey, cooperating with people around us, rather than competing and even trying to pull other people down on the journey. It can take us to where we want in the corporate ladder, but we'll find ourselves very empty by the time we reach there. So let's keep ourselves full while we are walking towards that ladder, not just run and throw people down on the way, and then by the time we reach there, we say, I've got everything that I wanted. The only thing left on the list is happiness. We don't want to reach there, where the only thing left is happiness. Let's be happy and walk on the journey. Not walk on the journey to reach happiness. It's on the journey.
Thank you very much.
Just a quick 20-second response from on this one is, I think the question should be, if you ask me when should we stop working, I'll answer as saying you should never stop working, but you can decide when you stop working for money. I think that's the question you need to make. To my mind, I think if you don't work, then I think your mental faculty, the physical faculties, all of them go down very fast. I think it's extremely important to stay active. It's more a question about do you work for money or not. That's the real question.
So one quick question, Ari, before we wrap up. given the current constraints of international travel, conference call, project timelines, working on weekends, and then living in nuclear families, running around for your kids, whatever, what are the top of the mind and what tips would you like to share with the rest of the colleagues from industry?
See, I think the few things I think we already spoke about. One is I think we have to decide for ourselves what is it we want to achieve and what is it we can be happy with. Second is I think the sooner we can get out of pressure, peer pressure or expectation pressure from other people, the easier it is. Third is I think end of the day, wherever we go, we are interacting with people. And if you can enjoy that interaction, I think you're going to be happier. If you're going to get to a place just to get to the end, you're going to be extremely unhappy. But if you can experience the journey, if you can be happy with the journey, I think you're going to like it a lot more. To my mind, there is no other way. I think we have to decide for ourselves that we are happy. We have to first recognize that all of this high pressure we talk about, the calls and the travel and all of that, it's a choice we made. It's a privilege we've got in some sense. Not everybody has this kind of jobs. And with what we have, we can actually reach out to so many more people out there. I think this privilege which we have to recognize, be happy about it, and where possible, share that happiness. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much. It's been very revealing for me and very enlightening for me to listen to both Shivani and Nari out here. I hope it was equally beneficial for all of you. Thank you very much.
So, wonderful panel. I ask that you just wait. Sister Shivani is going to come back and lead us through a meditation. So, I'm going to request Sister Shivani to close this wonderful topic about social health with a guided meditation.
Let's just sit back comfortable.
To audience.
Try and keep your eyes open if comfortable, because most of us, like we saw this morning, we're short on sleep. So if we close our eyes, then within the next 2 minutes we would be fast asleep. If any of you has any problem sleeping at home, come to the Brahma Kumari centers. We have so many people who say, I don't get good sleep, but the minute we sit in meditation, and they fall off to sleep, and after 10 minutes they will wake up and say, lovely experience, very nice. But that was sleep, not meditation. But all that requires is to silence the mind and slow down the speed of thinking. So we have to be a little careful, otherwise we tip off to sleep instead of meditation. So let's try and keep our eyes easy, half open, focusing on any one point that you can see, but comfortable. Just sit back, relax the body. I, the energy, the conscient being, creator of every thought, feeling, word and action. The energy which uses this body, expresses through this costume. I am that being. Irrespective of situations, people's behavior, I am the creator of every thought, feeling and response. I am the master. Every response is my choice. I, the being, have been on a long journey. And I'm a bundle of a number of sanskars today. Perceptions, attitude, different from other people, Originally, I'm a pure, beautiful being. Peace, happiness, which I was looking for outside, asking from people. It's my original quality. It's my natural sanskar. From today, I will start using this quality in my every interaction. I am a loveful being. I radiate love to everyone I meet. Bring any one soul, someone very close to you, and there any one habit which used to be a cause of irritation earlier, something which we didn't like about them. Bring that person on the screen of the mind. Empathy, compassion. I understand today this soul has been on a long journey and has created this sanskar on this journey. Today, I accept their sanskar. I accept their nature. From today, their nature will not affect my state of mind. I accept them as they are. See yourself with them. They are how we left them behind. But today we will go back different. We accept them with their sanskar. We are comfortable with their sanskar. This is unconditional love. I am the child of God, the ocean of love, and I have the power to love souls unconditionally. Look at yourself, radiating love to everyone you meet because you accept them as they are. This is peace. This is calm. This is respect. This is love. This is a soul-to-soul connection. Om Shanti.
Deeply relaxing. Hold that energy, hold that feeling